Alright, this is my second attempt at recording this, and the lesson is don't buy an Acer laptop, kids, because the USB ports give out way too fast, and the camera tells you that it's not plugged in half the time. So I am Key, and this is 8.3 complex fractions. Let's stick the R in there, huh? And yes, we did go over this last quarter, but we are going over it again to make sure you guys are good at it, and it is on your test, right? So we gotta make sure you're good on it. So this is for, I think, 3/31/20, right? This is Tuesday's lecture, and just the idea is dividing fractions by fractions, and to divide a fraction by a fraction, zoom in here, what you do is just rethink of this a over 2 divided by a squared over 4. Think of it as a over 2 divided by a squared divided by 4. So kind of like group these together like this, okay? And once you're in this situation, you should recall that to divide fractions by fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So you write this as a over 2 times 4 over a squared. And now it's just a matter of simplifying a bit. Where'd my purple pen go? I'm not going to use it, but I want to know where it is. There we go. And so I have 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2, of course, is 2. And a over a squared, these cancel, and you just have the a left. So this becomes just 2 over a. Last night I had to hide all of my pens before I went to bed because Roman is a big fan of pens, and if he gets a hold of pens, he is guaranteed to draw all over himself as though he is some kind of work of art. So you write this as 18p over 8p minus 2 divided by 4p squared over 4p minus 1. So again, I just rewrote this as top fraction divided by bottom fraction. Top fraction divided by bottom fraction. And now you write that as 18p over 8p minus 2. This division becomes multiplication times 4p minus 1 over 4p squared, okay? And now, before multiplying, it is a really good idea to try and cancel things. So I notice here I have I have 4p minus 1, and here I have 8p minus 2. So I have like p minus constant, p minus constant. And notice that 4 is half of 8 and 1 is half of 2. So I think, maybe I could factor out a 2 right here, and make things simpler. So I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to, I have a p here and a p squared here, so let's cancel those out. And I just have the p left on the denominator. And I have 18 over 4. I don't think I'm going to cancel those out just yet. Let's factor out this 2. So now I have 18 over 2 times 4p minus 1 times 4p minus 1 over 4. And so these 4p minus 1s cancel because I factored out the 2. And I have 18 divided by 2, which is 9. And so now I have left is this 9 divided by 4. So the answer is just 9/4. Okay. All right, next problem number 5. Now from now on, I'm not going to write the division step right here before I change it to multiplication. I'm just going to go right to the multiplication step because you should be able to manage flipping that in your head. So I have 7c plus 35 over c times, flipping this bottom fraction, c squared over c plus 5. And again, I have this situation. 7c plus 35, c plus 5. I know if I factor out a 7 here, this will become 7 times c plus 5. So let's do that. First, I think I'll cancel out the c squared over c. This cancels, and I just have c left in the numerator. So this is now 7 times c plus 5. This c is gone. If you can write it like this if you want, times c over c plus 5. And this is fine. But I know a lot of you guys, if you're doing like fraction and this other number isn't written as a fraction, it makes you uncomfortable. And so if you want to write it as over 1, that's fine with me. It doesn't matter. And now I can cancel c plus 5 over c plus 5. And so my answer is just 7 times c, or 7c. Right, on to number 7. Now in this situation, we have a fraction that's grouped divided by what just looks like a number. And in that situation, just realize you can divide anything by 1, and it's perfectly fine. So let's put this over 1, and then group it. Ta-da! Now it looks really familiar, doesn't it? So let's write this as 15 minus 15r over 15r squared times, I'm going to flip this fraction right here, so I have 1 over 12r minus 12. And now notice 15, 15, 12, 12, I can definitely factor some things out here. And notice we also have that situation we talked about before. This is constant minus variable. And on the bottom we have variable minus constant. If they're flipped, what do? You factor out a negative. So on the numerator over here, it's 15 minus 15r, I'm going to factor out a negative 15. Okay, so let's factor out negative 15. And if I factor out a negative 15, this negative 15r divided by negative 15 is just positive r. And this 15 divided by negative 15 is negative 1. Divided by 15r squared. Times 1 over, and on the denominator here, I'll factor out a 12. So I have 12 times r minus 1. Okay? So now, what can I do? I can cancel out my r minus 1s. r minus 1 divided by r minus 1 is 1. And 15 divided by 15 is 1. So what do I have left? I have the negative. I have my 1. I have r squared, and I have 12. So when I multiply these together, I should just leave my pens uncapped like I do it in class. I don't know why I'm recapping them. One sec. Let's uncap all of these for greater fluidity. And so my final answer is I have negative 1 divided by r squared times 12 is just 12r squared. And we're done. Hope you guys, there you go. Make sure you can see it. Ta-da! Okay. Moving on to the back side to finish up these odds. Number 9 here. Let's go ahead and, that's a weird indent right there. Let's go ahead and flip it. So I have x over 3 minus 3 over x, x over 3 minus 3 over x, times I flip this and I have x over x minus 3. And now to try and group this together, you could do this math. You could distribute the x to everything and the x minus 3 to everything, but that seems kind of disastrous to me. So I would rather try and give these some common denominators, and so I can subtract these fractions from one another. So for the x over 3, I'll multiply that by x over x. And let's see, I'll write that in a pink to help differentiate it, because I kind of didn't leave a lot of room here. X over x. And for the 3 over x, I'll multiply that by 3 over 3. Okay? So if I multiply these now, I have x times x, that's x squared. I should have just multiplied it over here, you know. over 3 times x is 3x, minus 3 times 3 is 9, over 3 times x is 3x, times x over x minus 3, and of course this should be in parentheses. Now I can subtract this numerator right here, and so I get x squared minus 9 over 3x times x over x minus 3. And right away you should notice, hey, we can cancel these x's right here. Zippy. And my x squared minus 9, that's a difference of squares. So let's rewrite that as x plus 3, x minus 3 over 3 times 1 over x minus 3. And x minus 3 divided by x minus 3, that cancels. So I have, let's write some more equal signs here. Look at that, workflow. X plus 3 times 1 is just x plus 3 divided by, and then I just have a 3 in the denominator, right? So it's x plus 3 over 3. On number 15, let's correct my mistake from last time and give this a common denominator right at the start. And when I have n minus 4 and 4n minus 16, what I notice is that 4 times 4 is 16, and 1 times 4 is 4. So if I multiply this right here by 4, then I will my first fraction on the denominator, then I'll get it to 4n minus 16. So let's multiply this fraction by 4 over 4. Okay? And so when I start this problem, now what I have is 5/4 times, actually let's keep it as a big ugly fraction for now. I think I almost confused myself turning it into the multiplication by the reciprocal last time. So let's just keep it as 5/4 over 4 times 20 is 80 over 4n minus 4 times n minus 4 is 4n minus 16 minus 5 over 4n minus 16. Now I can subtract these, right? They both have 4n minus 16 as the denominator. 80 minus 5 is 75. So this is 5/4 divided by 75 over 4n minus 16. Now let's multiply by the reciprocal. So I have 5/4 times 4n minus 16 over 75. Now let's try and cancel some things. 5 and 75, what's 75 divided by 5? Is that 15, right? 1, 25, 15, yeah. So these cancel, and this is 15. And then 4n minus 16 divided by 4, I can cancel these, right? If I have, let's do it off to the side here. If I have 4n minus 16 over 4, right? These cancel, and this is just a 4 right here. Another way to look at it is if I have 4n minus 16 over 4, I can factor out the 4. So now I have 4 times n minus 4 over 4. And these 4's cancel, so I just have n minus 4 left. So that's what happens over here. These cancel, and I have 4. So now what I have is n minus 4 over 15. And that's my final answer. N minus 4 over 15. Now they're starting to get a little more challenging. Number 13. Notice I have a squared here, b squared here, and so I had to get these common denominators. I'll multiply this first fraction by b squared over b squared, second fraction by a squared over a squared. So let's do that. I'll do it in pink this time to make it show it better. B squared over b squared, a squared over a squared. And then on the denominator, I'll do a over a, b over b. A over A, B over B, and this is all in the service of getting common denominators. So what do things look like now once I multiply through? B squared times 1 is B squared over A squared B squared. A squared B squared minus A squared over A squared B squared. A squared over A squared B squared divided by A times 1 is A over A times B is AB plus 1 times B is B over A times B is AB. Now we're ready to rock, right? These all have common denominators, so let's subtract them. So now I have B squared minus A squared over A squared B squared. And let's just go ahead and multiply by reciprocal here. So I'll take this AB and I'll flip it up top. AB over A plus B. A plus B. Okay, so what can I do here to reduce things a little bit? I have A squared B squared AB, so I can cancel out one of these ABs from down here. So I just have AB left. B squared minus A squared, you should notice is a difference of squares, right? B squared is a perfect square, A squared is a perfect square, and there's a subtraction here, so it's a difference of those squares. So I can factor that into B plus A, B minus A, over AB times this AB up here has been canceled, so it's just 1 over A plus B. A plus B is the same thing as B plus A, so I can cancel these. And so my final answer is just B minus A over A B. Ta-da! And we're done. Well, with that problem at least, there's one more problem, right? So let's take care of number 15 here. And I want to get these common denominators. I have a 4 and a 4v. What's the first fraction missing? It's missing a v on the bottom. So I multiply this by v over v. And at the bottom I have a v and a 4. So the first fraction is missing a 4. Second fraction is missing a v. So let's multiply this by v over v and 4 over 4. Now what do we have? V times 1 is v over 4, v times 4 is 4v plus 1 over 4v divided by 4 times 1 is 4 over 4v plus 1 times v is v over 4v. If I add all these together, what I now have is v plus 1. Oh, I did a 4 there on accident. V plus 1. Oh, look at that save. That was a 4. Now it looks very much like a v plus 1. Way to go, Mr. Dufresne. V plus 1 over 4v. You know, I was listening to someone on Reddit talk about, obviously this 4v goes on top now, about recording lectures as a professor for their distance education, and this is now v plus 4, we'll call it. And this person said that they've gone through 30 recordings, and every time they make a mistake and have to delete the whole thing. And I thought, if I deleted my recording every single time I made a mistake, I don't think we'd ever finish, right? Mistakes happen for all of us. 4v over 4v, this cancels. And what I have left now is v plus 1 over v plus 4. Okay. All right, so all done with that. In terms of everything getting posted, it'll all be up today. I was working on things yesterday, but I ran into several issues. One issue is, like I said, my USB port keeps telling me that the camera isn't plugged in randomly, which is not fun because I lose effort I'm putting into the lecture. YouTube also took a long time. I had to make a YouTube account, right, under my name. That took time. I had to get all the recording system set up, right? I have my wonderful microphone. You can tell it's a very nice quality microphone, right? It's a Blue Yeti. If you're looking for a microphone, I highly recommend them. They're very nice. I have my document camera from school that I had to bring home and plug in. And I also, YouTube, I tried to upload the first video, and YouTube complained and said, you're not allowed to upload videos this long. And that was after an hour of processing. And I had to, and it doesn't even tell you why. It just says, nope, this isn't allowed. So, and obviously, there are many, many long YouTube videos out there, right? My white noise video that I listened to is like 10 hours long. So there's no reason that this video right now is 20 minutes and 20 seconds long. There's no reason this should be an issue. Well, it turns out that when you create a YouTube account, you cannot upload videos longer than 15 minutes until you verify through two-way authentication. So I had to give them my cell phone number to say, yep, that's me, whoever I am. I don't know why it matters to know who I am, but that's the case. So right now I'm going through and I had to figure all that stuff out, and I wasn't able to get as much done yesterday as I thought I would because, I didn't know that all of technology would conspire against me. So that's the conclusion of 8.3 complex fractions, and I'll see you guys. That's all you have to know for the test. So the next 2 days are going to be review, and then you have your test day. So I'm going to go over I think I'll go over the odds of the 2 reviews that I gave you, just like with these. And if you can do everything you've gone through so far, I feel like you should be just fine for the test. The test is on eCampus. You have 1 shot at it. You have 1 hour to take it. And it's pretty short. From what I looked at was first I saw a draft that had 8 questions on it, and then someone wanted to add more questions. But I don't think it'll be much more than that. So 8 to 10 questions I think is what we're looking at for your test. So it's not a super long test. It doesn't have sections or anything like that. It's a lot like your 9 weeks exam. It's just a straight exam score, okay? But you have an hour and you have your home environment, so I imagine that it should be a walk in the park for you guys, okay? If you have questions, post them to discussion board. If you haven't tried yet, try posting something to discussion board just so you can get a feel for it. Make a new topic. You can make a new topic and just ask a question about math. Just get in there and experiment with it, so that way you're comfortable with it when you want to use it. It's good to get comfortable with your resources before you want to use them, I say as I talk about my technology issues yesterday. All right! Have a great day, guys.